Hey guys, this is a different type of video that I was looking at. It's something a little bit different to what we usually do, but I wanted to try and help out the community, help out some other players who don't understand the game as much as I do. Because I've noticed that even though I'm not, I'm obviously not the best player around. We all know this. I've got a lot to learn in this game, and I've got a lot to improve upon. But I know a fair bit more than other people. I have more of an understanding of the game, so I'm trying to give my views on the way the game is and where you can like improve upon and different ways the game actually exists. So if I can help out even one extra person just by this video, this is just a little basics video to understand cards and how cards work. So I'll be doing a bit of a series on this, but we'll see how it goes, and yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, so first of all, this is the basic video. Had a bit of a talk to a few people, and I don't know, over my experience, I've had a bit of like a few people not understanding certain card effects or not understanding the way some things work. So this is going to seem really basic to start with. It'll get a little bit more complex towards the end, and then further videos will get into a little bit more in-depth stuff. So we'll have a look what's in this one. So in this video, we're going to go through some card types like monsters, spells, traps, alongside monster cards, spell cards, trap cards, like different types of those. There's different spell speeds, which don't be confused with spell cards. Spell speeds is a type of like the classification of activation, so you'll learn more about that a little bit later. Monster effect types, because they're obviously not all the same, and a couple of deck basics. So, and card types, you've obviously got the monster, which fits into normal, effect, fusion, synchro, XYZ, ritual, pendulum, and link. Tokens fit into the normal bit, but yeah, that's about it. Spells, you get normal, equip, quick play, continuous, field, and ritual spells. As you can see above, the Return of the Dragon Lords, that's an example of a normal spell. And trap cards, you get normal, continuous, or counter traps, so they're fairly simple, there's not many trap cards. So. Monster cards can be into normal, effect, ritual, fusion, synchro, pendulum synchro, and tutor synchro, XYZ, the pendulum XYZ as well, and pendulum and link. And there's an example of Megalo Smasher X as a normal monster, and there's a token right next to it, which is also classed as a non-effect monster. And effect monsters, they're usually darker in colour, as you can see, compared to its normal monster counterpart. These monsters have special abilities that allow them to do more than their normal counterparts. Can be effect, tuner, flip, Gemini, union, or a combination of multiple. They usually have a certain a special condition or effect more than just their attack and defense like normal monsters have. Ritual monsters, special summon only monsters that must be special summoned with a ritual spell or trap card. These monsters cannot be normal summoned or set, they cannot be special summoned from the grave or banished unless they have first been ritual summoned properly. So there's a few different things, like obviously I did see a lot of things about like just ritual spells, but there are traps nowadays that copy ritual spells. They're not like ritual trap cards, but they copy ritual spell cards, so that's why I included the trap. Fusion monsters, it's so many different types of them. You can get tuners, normal ones, you can get effect ones, totally different types of ones. And be special summoned from the extra deck by either contact fuse, as written on cards like ABC Dragon Buster or Chimeric Fortress Dragon, as we can see on the screen, or by a fusion spell such as Polymerization, or even a fusion trap, a trap card that enables you to fusion summon. Even monsters nowadays have some conditions that they can fusion summon, such as Shaddoll Construct, the Link monster. Some monsters such as Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon require exact materials. He requires exactly 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon, and whereas others may require just like 2 darks, such as Starving Venom Dragon. And Chimeric Fortress requires 1 Cyber Dragon and 1 Machine monster. Synchro monsters must be successfully summoned from the extra deck by utilizing a tuner monster alongside another monster to equal the same amount of stars on a synchro monster. Now this is debatable as to whether you can use them, because there are different synchro monsters that require specific monsters. Some require specific types, others require more than 1 non-tuner monster, and others require more than 1 tuner monster. So make sure you check the classification on your card. As you can see on Black Rose Dragon, it says 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner under where it says Dragon Synchro effect, and you can see there's a level 3 tuner Junk Synchron and a level 4 B Buster Drake equals a level 7 Black Rose Dragon. They can be non-effect, effect, tuner, or pendulum. XYZ monsters. These monsters are black, and instead of levels they have ranks. These ranks signify what is needed to make it alongside its material that is written on the card. For example, 2 level 4 monsters may be used to make Abyss Dweller as seen on the right hand side. These cards can be non-effect XYZ, effect XYZ, and pendulum XYZ. Some get different effects and some require actual proper materials, so make sure you check. Same thing with synchros, make sure you check underneath what its requirements are. This is only 2 level 4 monsters, so make sure you check where it says that on your card to see what you can summon. Pendulum cards are half green monsters that can be activated to the pendulum zones as spell cards. These cards are sent to the extra deck face up if they leave the field, unlike other cards that go to the graveyard. Pendulum cards allow for a mechanic known as pendulum summoning, where if you have 2 pendulum cards in their zones with link ratings 3 and 5, means you can special summon from the hand or face up extra deck as many level 4s as you can. Now, as you can see, there's a Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. The red and the blue arrows signify its link rating, so that's a link rating of 4. So you can get different ones, and if you are special summoning from the extra deck, pendulum summoning from the extra deck, they have to go to the extra monster zone or a zone a link monster points to, which we can talk about a little bit later. Link monsters, the newest type of monster that has a link rating instead of a level or rank. Link monsters are special summoned from the extra deck by sending to the graveyard monsters that equal the link rating of the monster you wish to summon. Some require exact materials, others are generic. Link monsters can be used as their own link rating or can be equal a rating of 1 when being used for a link summon of another link monster. So as you can see, Proxy Dragon on the right there just requires 2 monsters. Deco Talker in the middle is a link 3, so he needs, and he says 2 plus effect monsters, so he needs more than 2 effect monsters. 2 or more effect monsters. So don't be tricked as saying thinking it's only 2 effect monsters. That's his whole condition. They have to be effect monsters. Whether you're using 2 or 3, they have to be effect. And I sold 2 Tales of the Noble Knights requires 2 warrior monsters, as you can see. Each link monster will have its own requirement. Some require just darks, some require a lot of other things. So make sure you check. Same with synchros, XYZs, make sure you check your requirements and what you need when link summoning. And if you want more information, make sure you go to YouTube and search for link summoning mechanic. Konami has an excellent video on how link summoning actually works if you're a little bit confused. They made a really simple one, so I'm not going to go through that too much. Spell cards. So these are different types of spell cards that you can encounter. You encounter normal spells that usually have no symbol, although some older and foreign ones may have a small N where it's next to the spell card. So equipped spells are equipped to monsters that to utilize certain effects. So some can gain attack, some can do other stuff. So they've usually got that little symbol that's next to it. Quick play spells can be activated at any time during your turn and can be set and used on your opponent's turn, and they have that symbol next to it. Continuous spells stay continuously activated until it is removed from the field by either card effect or their own effect or something like Twin Twisters and stuff like that. So ritual spells. Ritual spells are used to special summon a ritual monster. They're pretty simple. Field spells are similar to continuous spells as they stay on the field until they are removed or replaced, but these are placed in the field zone on the board instead of spell or trap zone. So they're actually not in the spell or trap zone. So if something says it destroys something in the spell or trap zone, your opponent cannot target your field spell for it because it's not in the spell or trap zone. It's in the field spell zone. I'll discuss a little bit more of that in the next video where we go through the proper zones and all of the field structure and stuff like that. So trap cards. Trap cards must be set in order to be activated unless they have special conditions such as red reboot, evenly matched, or infinite impermanence. Trap cards can be normal, continuous, or counter. Normal traps go straight to the grave once resolved. Continuous traps stay on the field until they are removed by a card effect. Counter traps also go to grave once resolved. Most traps are spell speed 2 except for counter traps that are spell speed 3. Trap cards can be activated anytime during either player's turn after the turn they have been set. So this is where it gets a little bit more complex. This is spell speeds. So the spell speed 1 must be chain link 1 and can only be activated in open game state. So I'll go through a bit more game states in next video as well, and turn structures and stuff like that. They'll get a little bit more complex. I'll do that probably next week. Normal spell cards and trigger monster effects are usually spell speed 1. Spell speed 2 can be activated during either player's turn, so quick play spells, quick monster effects and trap cards. Note with quick play spells, as I said, with quick play spells, they have to be set to be able to be activated during your opponent's turn. So remember that. Spell speed 3 can be activated during either player's turn and can only be responded to by other spell speed 3 effects. For example, only a counter trap can respond to a counter trap. So if someone's using Solemn Strike on your monster summon, you can only respond to it with another counter trap such as Solemn Judgment or Counter or Wiretap or something like that. So make sure you have a look at that and understand that. Spell speed 4 is technically not an official term, but it's pretty much a card activation that cannot be responded to by either player. So as we can see on the left, the only known card I can think of is Super Polymerization, where it says neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. Monster effect types. Now there's 5 different monster effect types. So there's continuous, ignition, trigger, quick effect, and unclassified. Continuous effects are effects that don't start a chain, but are active as long as the monster is face up on the field. So stuff like Jinzo negate traps while he is face up on the field. Ignition effects require a manual activation by the player during their main phase 1 or 2. They usually say once per turn, you can, or during your main phase. So if you look at Soul-Eating Oviraptor, if you have a look at his second effect, not his first normal summon one, his second one, it says you can target one other level 4 or lower dinosaur on the field. Yeah, so that's an ignition effect. Trigger effect. Spell speed 1 effects can be activated at any time during your player's turn when the trigger is met, as long as there are no restrictions on the card. These can be optional or mandatory. So, obviously if you look at Soul-Eating Oviraptor again, it says if this card is normal or special summon, that's the trigger effect. So that's the trigger effect activating, and then go on from there. So take one dinosaur monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Quick effect. Spell speed 2 effects that can be activated during either player's turn, during your opponent's turn, or chained to another card effect or activation. These cards will say quick effect or during either player's turn or something similar in their text. So if you have a look at Pankratops, towards the end it says quick effect. You can tribute one Dino Wrestler monster, then target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. So, there we go. Unclassified effect. This effect does not start a chain and is not a continuous effect either. So this is stuff like, if people remember Rusty Barteach, he had the effect on him that said he could not be used as link material. Now, it is not an effect, but it's not a condition, it's a few other things. So we'll go through that a little bit later, won't worry about that right now, it's not too important. And deck basics. So, decks may be made with a minimum of 40 cards and up to 60 cards maximum. Extra decks have a maximum of 15 cards and can contain Fusion, Synchro, XYZ and Link monsters. That's where your Pendulum cards will go when they leave the field as well. They'll go to that extra deck face up. Side decks are cards that can be exchanged for other cards in your deck between games in a match, after game 1 and game 2. These also contain no more than 15 cards. These are usually tech cards. In a further video I'll go through some side deck techniques, but there's 3 to 4 different ways to do it. I'll go through that a little bit later on. Make sure your cards are TCG approved as well, so any cards from the OCG region cannot be used, and cards must be available in your region. So jump cards cannot be used in some or most European places because they haven't released in the European country. So make sure you check with either a friend, a judge, or ask someone online if you're unsure. And finally, check the Forbidden Limited list. There's a link there to see whether your card is Forbidden, Limited, or Semi-Limited, depending on what format you're playing. If you're playing traditional format, you don't have to worry about it too much, but if you're playing advanced format, then make sure you check that. So next time we'll go through a few different things like turn structure, battle phase structure, which does get a little bit complex, field structure, the way the field's set up and everything, summoning conditions, chaining, which can get pretty complex doing some chains, Seagok, so simultaneous effects go on chain, missing the timing and response timing. I'll go through a few extra things next time, but for now, that's all we'll do for this video. It's just a little bit of a basics video. Let me know in the comments section below whether you'd like to see anything more, or yeah, we'll see what happens. Cheers, guys.